Well, for more, we're joined from Ramallah by Mustafa Tamazeh, spokesperson for the charity Oxfam. Thank you for joining us here on France 24.
Thank you for having me.
As we speak, the tensions are felt throughout the Palestinian territories. 2 teenagers killed in the West Bank, shot dead by Israeli forces amid protests. I want to first begin by asking you about this new level of escalation, how personally you're feeling it.
Well, the level of escalation in West Bank, it's also something going to a high level. And by the way, this is not only recent in the last 11 days. In the last year, the current year, according to reports, it was actually the highest year since decades in terms of the number of Palestinians were killed by the Israeli army or by the Israeli illegal settlers in West Bank. And then, of course, after, in the last 11 days and this escalation, the Israelis impose full closure in the West Bank. Movement between cities is limited. Also, several people were killed in the last few days in West Bank. Of course, people are really frustrated, more nervous, more angry about what's going on in Gaza, so they go into the street and also confront the Israeli soldiers, and that's you can see lots of casualties in the West Bank as well. In addition to that, also, there are actually hundreds of Palestinian workers from Gaza who were staying in Israel and working there before October 7th. So most of them that the Israeli police have just, took them from Israel and put them in West Bank, different cities and towns, and they now cut off from their families, in this devastating situation in Gaza, while they are not with their families, but they're also disconnected from their families and they have nowhere to go. That's also another element, how the situation in the West Bank is really become hotter than usual.
Mustafa, we saw in that report those conflicting narratives over what happened Tuesday evening in Gaza City. What has Oxfam been able to piece together?
Well, Oxfam as a humanitarian organization, we've been watching and following what's going on. Let's talk about those over 4,000 Palestinian people were in the hospital, on top, of course, of the other people, like the sick people or injured people in the hospital itself. The question is why those people have flee actually to the hospital. They forced to leave their homes because of the 24-hour strikes on Gaza Strip by the Israelis, indiscriminate, hit like a residential building, mosques, market. So everywhere, and I'm sure everyone is aware, like the Israelis also asked the people in Gaza and the north part to evacuate and alerted the hospitals even to evacuate, which is against all the international laws and which is impossible. Can we imagine asking the hospital? This is a pure civil, organization for civilians, for innocent people, to ask them to evacuate. This is of course against human principle and against the human laws. So people have no other place safe and secure to go unless to reach the hospitals. They thought it's a little bit like safer than other places, but unfortunately we also the massacre, which we consider as a war crime. It is something really people should not accept, and we have around 20 hospitals. They are overwhelmed with people who are displaced because there is no shelter place there. We believe as Oxfam those places should be protected by the international laws, and civilians should not be target for any war.
Earlier in Tel Aviv, the U.S. president standing by Israel's version, saying the Department of Defense in the United States saying it was an errant missile fired by, quote, a terrorist group. Mustafa Tamazeh, Joe Biden leaving Israel without a summit with the leaders of Egypt and Palestine. However, he did manage to get the Israelis to announce they're going to be agreeing to the limited entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip from Egypt. Your reaction?
Well, the matter now in Gaza, it's a matter of life or people losing their life. So it's not a matter of wording. We need action on the ground. It's a must to open borders with Gaza and allow for humanitarian workers and humanitarian supply like food and water. In maximum, the water availability in Gaza Strip is like 3 liters per capita. I was listening or talking to some people there. They said, we dream to have enough water to have a shower. Can you imagine that? Now we are learning from like an expert there in Gaza. A waterborne diseases might break in any minute. This is very risky. So it's a must actually to allow the borders and to open the borders for water, for medicine, and also to evacuate or to transfer some of those injured people in the hospitals for a better treatment, because the hospitals and the health system in Gaza, it's already collapsing. So it's a must to reach for a ceasefire and to allow for these basic services to get into Gaza immediately. It's a matter of life for 2 million people in Gaza.
Mustafa Tamazeh, many thanks for joining us live from Ramallah.